issues.
Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us tonight. An incredible show coming up. First-time guest is Dr. Hildegard Staninger. Is that correct?
Yes, and she's talking about Morgellons. She's one of the foremost researchers on the syndrome. Dr. Hildegard Staninger is a doctor of integrative medicine and one of the leading international scientists in the field of industrial toxicology.
Wow, Dr. Staninger is also one of the few scientists actively investigating what's become known as Morgellons syndrome, and joins us tonight with some incredible findings.
Welcome, Dr. Staninger.
Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Thanks for joining us. Wow, what research you've done. Now, this is a first time for most of our viewers, so tell us, what exactly is this Morgellons problem?
The Morgellons problem is a syndrome, a disease that has specific things in common with all parties that are developing these symptoms. They have fibers that grow out of their body, and these fibers burn at 1,400 degrees or more, and they also have where it's either black, blue, or red, or even white fibers. They experience hair loss that is replaced by pseudo-hair. They have fatigue and a number of what they call lesions, which has like a crust over it, or a pseudo-skin, or some people call it a callus, where these fibers and other materials accumulate under the skin.
Doctor, we're just showing some photographs as you're speaking, and this thing is hideous. It looks really alien on the human body.
Well, it is a true foreign invader, meaning a foreign invader is something that comes into the body and is not recognized by the body and attacks the body's defense mechanism. And in this case, the materials which were identified at the end of the study, which was under Project FM, we found that it was made of a polyester, two-part polyester compound with other organic compounds, and it basically was like two plastic straws within itself.
Wow.
With a silicone head.
Okay, you had something on the website that was a golden head. What is that in relation to?
Now the golden head, which was identified in the very beginning, we went in stages. Let me just explain what the stages were. The first set of tests that were done, which were using toxicological pathology methods, which were done by a colleague of mine, Dr. Rahim Karju, and myself, and identified what was the physical nature of prepared slides that were sent to us by a person that was diagnosed with Morgellons, and also was sent to us by the hospital in New Hampshire. And that showed silicone present and also silica, crystals, okay? Mm-hmm. That was in phase 1. Phase 2 showed high-density polyethylene fiber and other compounds being present. And then phase 3, which was the combination of approximately 24 samples that were sent from around the world, and also the comparison to a chemtrail sample that was sent to us from Texas.
Wow.
And two of my patients and Dr. Spencer's patients that had Morgellons, and that showed that it matched to the chemtrail sample that was in Texas versus these other two people. One lived in Signal Hill and the other one lived in Long Beach.
So we're showing something that we learned from the website. These are fibers that came from a chemtrail sample. Now, how did that come to you? What did it look like when you saw it just with the naked eye?
Well, what it looked like was just like cotton candy, mm-hmm. like just white cotton candy in a bag, and then also a twig was attached. Because the person who took the sample saw it falling from the sky and was able to gather it and date it when they gathered it and put it into proper Ziploc bags.
And then you had a patient, Lily, and we're showing something that showed on the website was a fiber from, I believe, her skin. And so the composition that we saw in that previous slide from the chemtrail is the same composition as this then?
Yes, except it goes in stages. You'll see chemical analysis, which was done by scanning electron microscope techniques, which were done by Lambda Labs and MIT at Woodhull, through our other lab, Applied Consumer Services. The thing is, which is important, is that as this material ages, other compounds are shown, because these compounds that were shown as metals are transitional metals that make a battery. Thus, the compounds use the cells to make its own battery, where they have a silicone or a gel in between the cells that allow it to be like suffocated or held within. Each one of the patients that Dr. Spencer and I have seen, that if they take a hair, which we thought was real hair versus pseudo hair, where it doesn't have a core in it, because human hair has a core in it, they can put their finger next to it without even touching it, just like say maybe 2 or 3 millimeters away from the hair, and the hair will start spinning, meaning there's some kind of charge within their own body.
Wow.
And we have measured, we had a company that brought over a new machine, the ESC from Korea, and we did urine samples, and conductivity is very high in a human being if it's near 1. When they use a product called Excelospheres that's manufactured by Dearborn Technologies, they can get as high as a 3 conductivity, which is extremely high. Okay?
Doctor, this is like, we need to take a commercial break. This is like something out of a 50s science fiction movie.
Absolutely.
Our guest is Dr. Hildegard Staninger, talking about...
If they're trying to call
Okay,
me,
sorry. We got somebody on the line there.
Oh, okay, we were there.
Hi, doctor. Okay.
Yeah, we were thinking that there's no one there because I didn't hear a commercial.
Oh, yeah, just took a little bit of a break. Now, listen, when we left, there was we were talking about electrical conductivity, and let's go back a little bit and make sure we understand this.
Right.
These fibers, they are somehow electrically charged?
No. They come in nanoparticles. We didn't even go there yet.
Oh, okay.
And those particles make up what they call an array, meaning they go in a straight line and they connect. Mm-hmm. And you can see them on the early pictures, which were on like the silicone pictures, and they connect and make a fiber.
Okay, I don't think we have a picture of that, but I'll try with one here.
Okay, but I'll review that.
Yeah.
Okay, what I was saying earlier in reference to transitional metals and the conductivity. Transitional metals are metals that make up charges, being iron, sulfur, etc., and phosphorus. But in these patients, they had high metals that were transitional, and what happens is there is a particle, which is called a nanoparticle, which connects together to make a nanoarray in some shape, usually in a straight line, and that makes into the fiber. And that was shown in earlier pictures that Dr. Carjou took, where you could see there was an association between the particles connecting together.
Okay.
Doctor, this may be a ridiculous question, but the chemical analysis of these fibers, is it earthly or is it extraterrestrial?
No. What I found was earthly, meaning when these nanoparticles come into the body, and they could become as smart dust or straight particles, what happens is it has some kind of nanoparticle which is called a nano assembler, meaning it uses body materials to make its network of fibers.
Okay.
And I compared it to, we had a sample of a meteorite, which was supposed to be from Mars, I believe, and that meteorite did not match the composition of what the fibers were. It was like someone who had Morgellons touched the meteorite and gave Morgellons to the meteorite, and the fiber, the nanoarrays used the building materials of what it was associated with, which was on that meteorite.
So it's kind of like a parasite then.
Well, it would be, if you want to call it a man-made parasite, but it has, we sent early samples and photographs to the Secretary and President of the American Society of Parasitology, and the Secretary wrote us back and said that, 1, it is not a parasite, 2, it is not eukaryotic cells, 3, it's not biological, and 4, it is man-made.
And what's the truth?
So,
Pardon?
So it is man-made, but it's not a parasite.
If you look at the results that were received from MIT and Lambda Labs, if you can imagine, I live in the Los Angeles area where there's a very famous Korean drink which is made out of boba, which is tapioca pudding, little round tapioca balls. Anyway, they have very large straws. If you put that straw with another straw inside of it, you have the 2-part polyester resin, and just put a silicone head, which is like a Tootsie Pop, on the head of it, and that's what you have. All of those fibers that were identified, which we called fibers, which when we did a scanning electron microscope and Raman test, which was micro Raman, which we tested between 1 and 20 nanometers, it showed that it was a 2-part polyester.
All right.
So that has to be created by man somehow.
Well, it has to be, because it all had uniform shape.
Right.
And it had uniform array, uniform pattern. Another thing that is new information, Dr. Carjou, who had a patient recently that was exposed to it and had like a fiber or something going on their cheek and then had it isolated. He isolated like a string, if you can imagine a straw, with pellets inside of it, which was polyester crystals, which are very much like liquid polyester crystals. That confirms the polyester that we found.
But the thing is, Doctor, that these fibers are attaching themselves and then growing in human skin. What about the number?
Let me go. They're growing in human skin, meaning they're coming out of the skin. I personally, from interviewing numerous people and also observing it, they have to make a crystal of silica or any of the other crystals go to a silicone or a gelatinous mass. It has to have a pH of 10 and 11, and a pH, the only 2 organs that have that is the intestinal tract and the kidneys. So that means that this material has to go inside the body and grow outward.
Oh, man, that is really sci-fi.
So what we're seeing on the outside, these individuals that have this, it is literally ripping through their skin and tissue, and that's what they feel. And if you put a piece of steel wool or just a little wood sliver or a sand spur in your skin, that bothers you until you get it out. So if you have this all under your skin, little granules, it's very annoying.
Doctor, is that why many Morgellons victims report that they feel like there's little microscopic bugs crawling under their skin? One lady, Vera Gallagher in California, actually took a knife and tried to cut her skin open to remove what she thought were bugs under her skin.
Right. I don't know that individual, but that would explain why many people do have this effect, because this material, this nanomaterial, has an affinity for, once it comes out of those organ systems that have the high pH, which is alkaline, so it can make the gel, it goes to the peripheral nervous system, which is just underneath the skin. So it's where it's on the baby nerves, so you're going to feel everything.
Oh, those poor people. So now the other thing is, these people, they have these real symptoms. They are scratching. Their skin looks...
They're real symptoms. Let me interrupt you, Kate. Meaning, we have a questionnaire that Dr. Spencer and I use. There's 167 symptoms. And when we get a patient, they're lacking only 3 of those symptoms. But all of the patients that we've seen, they continually have basically all of the symptoms.
And they are, if they go to someone else, though, these poor people, and many people who are going to be watching this tonight may have heard of this, or they may even have some kind of symptoms. They go to a regular GP. What happens to them?
Well, a lot of them get misdiagnosed. A lot of them get thought of that it's all in their mind.
Right.
Some of the ones that had, I'm going to say, good response to the medical professional were ones that went to, like, occupational physicians early on that understood a chemical reaction. And the other thing is that a lot of them are getting treated, for parasites when they don't have parasites. And sometimes these medications work with the individual or appear to be working is because these medications are made up of high metals with charges, valence charges, that interact with those transitional metals.
Oh,
so it stops the process. It appears like it's gone or appears like it's working, but it still comes back because no one has stopped the, as I call it, the assembler, wherever it set up camp and making this continually happen.
When you say assembler, that sounds like a robot or something. It's a good place to take a break.
The correct term in the literature is called nanorobot.
Perfect. We're going to leave that as we go into a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll ask you to explain that to our viewers. Hang on, everybody. Dr. Hildy will be right back. Okay, before we get back to the nanorobot question, our assistant producer asked, have there ever been any cases that you're aware of where infants would have been born with this? Say their mother had it or something. Have you ever dealt with...
I have not worked directly with any, but I do know that there has been some babies born with it. And this was told to me by Shoshana Allison, who's been my immediate person to collect all the information.
Yes.
Shame. Can you imagine being a little baby and dealing with this?
Wait, you got something on your cheek here.
Oh, stop it. Now, tell us about these nanorobots.
Well, nanorobots are either they can be, in this case, more like chemical made materials which have a specific function. This is very similar to what we've experienced in everyday life as memory foam in our beds. It always goes back into a certain position. With nanorobots, they go into a certain area. They're programmed to go in there, made to go into there, and only do one function or multiple functions. And in this case, make a network that is very similar to a fiber optic network.
So
within the body.
Okay, fiber optics, and you earlier said something about silicone. Now, has there ever been any relationship? I'm sure people would wonder, okay, if somebody had, like, say, silicone breast implants, could that have any bearing on this?
Yes, this could, because it could be a media to grow in. But the individuals that we have tested that had the silicone and the silica crystals, they did not have any breast implants. They did not have any type of prosthetic or anything that could be related to silicone or silica.
So it's got to have come then from the environment. Now, we know of one case for sure where the chemtrail fibers were found, and you could maybe put it together. One case for sure where the chemtrail fibers were found, and you could maybe put it together.
There was in two cases. Anna and also Lily.
And yes. Lily, okay. But there are chemtrails everywhere all the time.
Correct, and they could have other chemicals in it. But one key that what I'm calling the smart dust, where smart dust is a very, very small particle at nano size that has a specific function. This looks like, if you look at certain times of the day and you see dust, but it's not dust, it's like an iridescent glitter. Very specifically different than regular household dust.
Yeah.
And this would be in areas where...
We have seen that. You know, Doctor, I got one of those 10 million watt spotlights. You go out at night and point it up to the sky, and you can't believe what's floating in the air. I mean, it's really disgusting.
Right, and if you're seeing this iridescence, which looks like just like glitter, that is engineered dust or smart dust type material versus regular household dust, or that does not reflect back.
So here comes the conspiracy theory. If Morgellons is related to chemtrails and it's coming out of the spray from airplanes, is there some grand plan to get this stuff into human beings?
Well, I don't know if it was a plan or anything, but I will say that all of us have been exposed, all animals, all life forms on this planet. is just a matter of what our genetic makeup is, what we have been chemically poisoned with as an industry, meaning working in industry versus living in certain polluted areas, that is allowing this to manifest more rapidly in individuals than ourselves.
Now, is this considered, like, if you're handling this, you must be very careful. Is it something that could burrow its way in, like contagious?
Well, I don't consider it contagious because what I have observed is that it has to have a specific chemical composition, and if, like, I'll give you an example, like the ones where they have the lesions, where they have the discolorization of the skin, they have a lot of porphyria in their body, which is from pyrroles, and thus chemical composition of pyrroles. And I basically know that it's a man-made machine, as I call it.
So it's not going to be likely passed from person to person. If
No,
they're going to have to get it from
the thing is,
environment.
and why people can, I'm going to call it, be exposed and get it from other individuals, is that those same people may be exposed to the same chemicals that this other person has been exposed to.
Got you.
Yeah,
That
and
allows it to be a growth media for these assemblers or whatever is going on.
Gotcha.
I don't care if it's contagious. I mean, we have a picture there, I think it's number 7, of if my own mother had that on her lip, I ain't getting anywhere near her. I'm sorry.
Well,
Yeah, it's very hard. And also, being that there's technology where these, what we call liquid crystals, meaning that they're crystals where they have different DNA, just as I said earlier in my early papers and other shows that I've been on, where they have DNA plasmids. These DNA plasmids can be certain bacterias, sea anemones, shark venom, whatever it may be, okay? But it's where other scientists may not have found it or anything and call it parasites or whatever they may want to call it, because they never were able to get a whole matter of it, meaning a whole organism.
So they're just going to compare it to a parasite, or think that it is a parasite.
But I would like to see some of them, do some DNA or something analysis.
Sure. Now, what's the CDC?
I mean, we did, but we only got chemicals,
Right, right. What does the CDC do, or are they doing anything about this?
I honestly don't know. I know in the very beginning, which was way back in September, October of 2006, they were going to do a study in California. Then they changed it to do it go back to Atlanta, and then do it out of Texas. But to my knowledge, I have not heard anything that they've done anything.
Doctor, how many people, it's okay, how many people are you estimating have this affliction just in the United States?
Early on, when the end of the statistics at the first of the year were over 60,000 in the United States, 100,000 worldwide, with an expansion rate of 1,000 a day globally.
Oh, my word. And now, you said 60,000 in the U.S. Is there any specific part of the country it seems more likely?
26% is in Southern California. The other majority is in Texas and Florida, but it is spreading. There is a relationship to, I'm going to call it specific cities that have higher incidence.
And a friend of ours who's a chemtrail expert in Los Angeles says the chemtrail spraying there is just out of control. It's amazing. Do we have to do a break? Yeah,
we have to do a break. We're going to take just another short break, and when we come back, see if there's something we can do to help people prevent this affliction. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Dr. Hildegard Staninger. Okay, we had another question from the control booth, and I think this is a pretty good one. If these fibers or whatever they are nano robots are falling from the sky somehow, can they somehow embed themselves in plants? Has there been any evidence so that when we ate something that had landed on, we could get it that way?
Yes, there has been evidence early on from plants, animals, even seafood.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Meaning it's global. It is raining. Once you've seen it, example like in some of the pictures where it has those clear, like hook-like features, you can see it on other living forms of life.
Doctor, I'm becoming very scratchy sitting here tonight. This may be a crazy question, but like at what temperature, maybe this will tell us something, at what temperature do the fibers that protrude from the skin burn at, and do they melt?
We had none of them melt. We had them go as low as 600 degrees Fahrenheit to as high as 1,400 degrees that we tested.
And they don't melt.
No, they don't melt. They break apart, but they're still all together.
Holy cow.
Now,
And one of them broke apart, and that's what you got the golden head. Meaning it was a
gotcha.
complete fiber, burned at the end, 1,400 degrees, and it showed the golden head.
I think we should get Spock in here, maybe.
Yeah, really.
No, this is really...
One of my questions, though, is, okay, we've got perhaps this falling from the sky. Obviously, you found that it's in the food we eat, even seafood. How can do we need to build our immune systems? What can help us with this?
What this particular thing that we found is that it never stimulated the immune system. So in the very beginning, it's like if it doesn't stimulate the immune system because it's so small, the immune system can't send out the white blood cells in the soldiers to fight it. Okay?
Gotcha.
So what you have to do is just basically keep your body healthy, and please use good intestinal fiber and Jerusalem artichoke powder and other types of nutrients like what are being developed, so that you can maintain good digestive health, because I personally think that, well, I know it's starting in the intestinal tract, thus the first organs that are formed are the GI tract.
So if you can
developing
keep that,
embryo.
so if you can keep that cleaned out then and healthy, it doesn't have a chance to grow.
Assemble, correct.
Assemble.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, I get you.
So
Right,
maybe-
and that's with any chemical.
Right,
You've got to
so-
remember that 35% of the minimum absorbs back into the intestinal tract.
So keep your digestive system in good health, doctor. Maybe some colon cleanse or yogurt, live cultural yogurt will help.
Correct.
Are we
Right.
running out of
Hemp
time?
oil,
All right.
the new hemp fibers,
Perfect.
Doctor, we need to say goodnight to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me on.
What
Good
an
night.
incredible bunch of
When you get
information.
news, will you please let us know and we'll get you back on the show?
Yes, because we are working on countermeasures, and there is hope definitely out there.
Thank
Okay?
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Good
you
night.
very much.
Good